So when I teach you how to start a nonprofit organization, I teach you with these things in mind. Hi, if you clicked on this video, you are probably wondering, how in the world do I start a nonprofit organization? And I'm going to help you with that right now, or in just a couple seconds. Because first, I want to tell you, I am Sharmon Lebby, and I'm a nonprofit consultant, and I help organizations build solid foundations, particularly in strategic planning, collaboration strategies, and then branding and communication. And I help them to build organizations with these foundations so that they are able to engage their communities and engage their donors and sustain themselves and thrive for a long time. And so when I teach you how to start a nonprofit organization, I teach you with these things in mind. So if you are just wanting to figure out how to file your 501c3, that is probably not, or I should just say, I am probably not the person for you, right? This is not the video for you if that is all you want to do. But if you want your organization to last a long time, if you want your organization to have a lot of impact, if you want to not burn out as you are creating this nonprofit organization, then stick around, because we are going to get into this right now. Okay. So first things first, just to get you started, you need to do a little bit of research in order to start your organization. You need to start looking into your area, the other nonprofits that are in your area. Start looking for organizations that are really similar to yours, even if they're not in your area. Just try to figure out what they are, what they're doing, what they're saying, how long they've been around. And you probably want to have some conversations with people as well. Not to mention, whoever the community is that you are wanting to serve, have conversations with them and figure out what it is that they actually want and what it is that they actually need, because what you're thinking may not be the same thing that they're thinking. And before you do absolutely anything, this is what needs to happen. You need to do some research, because very often we get like really service minded and we're like, this needs to happen. I see this as a problem and I'm going to go fix it. And that it may not actually be the problem that you think it is. So first thing off the bat is just do some research. Figure out other nonprofit organizations that are similar to yours. If you have a completely unique idea, good for you. That's amazing. But I still want you to kind of look at similar organizations. And I want you to look at what's happening in your area already, because it may be that you don't need to start a whole new organization. It may be that you could just partner with another organization, which is something that we get into later. Actually, we're not going to get into that in this video. But if you want to check out my Nonprofit Launch Academy, we get into this stuff more there. But I really want you to start thinking about what's already in your area and how you can fill a gap, because we don't want to just create nonprofits on top of nonprofits just to have a nonprofit, right? This is about fulfilling a mission. This is about having impact. And this is not about just like feeding our egos and doing what we want to do and what we think is right and what needs to be happening in the world, right? You want to make sure you're actually filling a gap, and not just creating something new just because, and I'm saying this because there are millions of nonprofits in the US already, millions of nonprofits around the globe already, like 2,500 start every year, and resources are tight and people are competing, and that's not how this was meant to be, right? Nonprofits began and they started in order to fill gaps that in areas that the government wasn't fulfilling, or areas that people couldn't necessarily manage themselves. And so that is should be your main purpose. That is your mission, right? Is to fulfill a need in your community. In order to do that, you need to make sure you have the right need, and you have the solution to what people are actually believing that they need and they see, and that you can jump into, right? So that's first things first. Just figure out if your organization is actually needed. Next, you are going to figure out your mission, your vision, and your values. Like, you want to be able to write these in one sentence, just a few words, for your mission statement. Can it be longer? Sure. But I want to make sure that you can keep it short and succinct and like spit this out in like 10 to 15 seconds if people ask you what your organization does and what the purpose of it is. Like if you have to like explain for 5 minutes, you're going to lose them. So you want to be able to spit out right away. I help young kids read, or I help adults learn to read, right? Spit it out. We want it out, and we want it out in 1 second, and we want to be able to get to them in like 10 to 15 seconds. And if they are interested, then they're going to latch on and ask you more, right? But the idea is to hit them with something super simple that they're going to want more from. And they're going to be like, oh, tell me more about that. What is that about? That's the kind of mission statement we're looking for. Your vision is going to be like the way you see the world if you are able to fulfill that mission, right? So if your mission is to increase like adult literacy or help adults learn to read, then your vision is a world where every adult is reading at, I don't know, like a college level. Though this is the kind of the visions that we're talking about. And then your values are just the things that are really important to you, and the way that you fulfill that mission, and you're trying to move to that vision, right? So again, I'm talking about adult literacy organization. We're thinking now, like dignity maybe is like one of our values, that we want to make sure that everything we put out there and the way we present our organization is surrounded in dignity. Maybe joy is part of it, right? We want, and fun. We want people to have fun while they're learning to read. We want them to have joy while they're learning to read. These are different ideas of like values that, and maybe even excellence. These are just stuff randomly coming off my head, but these are just different values that you want to like figure out and list out and figure out what that means and looks like to you and to your organization. So the next thing we get into then is really building a brand. And so this is where our logos and our colors and different things like that are coming in. But I don't want you to think it's only that, because your brand is not just like how you look. It is how you're making people feel. It is the way you present that mission, that vision, and your values. There's so much that goes into it. It's basically your brand's personality and how you present yourself. That is all encompassed in your brand. So we've got your mission and your vision, and then we now need to present that in a way that people are going to receive and is going to bring some kind of emotional response, because you want people to feel a certain way, right? And what is that way that you want them to feel? Like, how is it that you want to feel? How do you want them to react to you and your organization? So that is your branding. And I feel like I need to just pause for a quick second. I'm not going to pause though, but I just need to give me a second. Give me a second as I like dig into some more. So then after that, we want to build our structure. We want to figure out what this organization actually looks like. We're bringing on our board. We're finding people that we trust. We're figuring out those role descriptions for the different people that we're bringing on. You know, how many board members are you going to need? Are you going to eventually want staff? What do volunteers look like? What are these people doing? These are all these things that we need to figure out. And I'm talking too about your structure, like the nonprofit structure. People immediately think 501c3, but maybe a 501c3 isn't for you. There are, I think, over 30 different types of nonprofit organizations that are available. 501c3 is the most common, and it is the one that is usually most tax exempt and easiest to get donations and grants and stuff for. But there are several different types, and all of that really depends. Like if you don't want to just teach organizations or adults to read, if maybe you just want to advocate and lobby and talk to politicians and get laws made, then a 501c3 is not going to be for you, right? You want to get a 501c4 that's going to allow you to lobby and to interact with those politicians and to really get laws changed. And then again, like I said, you want to set up your board. You then want to set up your systems. And I'm telling you all of this stuff. And I know you're like, well, when do we fill out the paperwork? I'm like, in my opinion, you want to get all this stuff done before you ever fill out that paperwork. Because in all honesty, Maybe you don't have donations yet and you're still under like $50,000. And so you don't need a lot of information, but you're gonna need some of this stuff to apply for a status in your state. But you want to have your bylaws and all that stuff done, and you want to have all the stuff done really before, because even if you like have a website, they're gonna look at it. And they're going to want to know. And this is, again, stuff that you're going to have to fill out on your 501c3 paperwork. You need to tell them your mission. You need to tell them what you're going to be doing. You need to be telling them how you're going to do it. All of this stuff is important. So when I tell you to do this stuff first, I'm trying to help you start off right and start off solid, so that it is much easier to build up and much easier to get donors and much easier to get buy-in from people. So now we're setting up systems, right? We're setting up systems. We're writing down tasks that have to be done often. We're trying to figure out what kind of technology we need. And then we're also building our financial systems, right? Because we need to keep a budget. We need to know how much we're spending. We need to know how much we're going to need to spend. We need to figure out what all of this is going to cost us. And that's how we're able to get donors, right? Because we're not just spitting out random numbers, because they gonna know, okay? They gonna know if you're just like, just give me $100,000 and that's everything. Well, what are you spending that $100,000 on? These things are important. It's really important to start thinking about those things and start thinking about them now. Then let's start thinking about our online stuff, right? We thought about our tech. Let's start thinking about our website. What kind of website do you need? Do you need a website at all? Or can you just do stuff on social media? These are all the things we're kind of thinking about. And then after we got all that, right? And I'm like, and for that website portion, like a lot of this stuff, you can start building some websites for free, and kind of get things started and have a mindset of what those are looking like. And then we're going to go legal. Then we're going to make it official. Then we're going to fill out our state requirements. Then we're going to figure out our articles of incorporation. Then we're going to do our EIN and fill out that 1023 in order to get our IRS tax exempt status. And I went through a lot, and I don't know how long has it been. What are we looking at? Like 12 minutes here. I went through a lot. I went through it kind of fast, but I'm not going to leave y'all hanging. One, if you head to my website, blessdesigns.com/blog, I've got 2 different blogs there that set you up for success. You can go through those, look a little deeper at what it takes to get started on your nonprofit. And then I've also got resources for you. So if you head to the shop, we have got a checklist for you. We've got a business plan that you can do. And we've got some sponsorship template letters that'll really help you to grab those sponsorships. But if you want to dive in like super, super deep and get really into this, we have a nonprofit launch academy that will walk you through every step in 8 modules to get you to this point. But you can absolutely start with just that checklist. And as well, we have an essential guide. That's for free, a nice little freebie. Just get your essential guide, and that also will walk you through. So I have a ton of resources for you, free and some paid ones, that will help you get started on your nonprofit. If you are wanting some one-on-one time, schedule a free consultation with me. We can take 15 minutes to walk you through some things, walk you through things that are a little more difficult for you to understand. But I'm here for you. I am a resource, as well as the resources that we have on the site. So you can do this. I want you to know it is possible. Yes, it can take some work. Yes, it takes intentionality. I want you to be really strategic about how you start up a nonprofit. If this is kind of sounding like you're starting a business, yes, you are, right? Nonprofits still have to make money. You still have to figure out what that means and what that looks like, because you still have to bring in some revenue. And so you should be really strategic and intentional about everything you do. And I'm saying this as a person who started a nonprofit and was just like, did it with all the feels and all the vibes, and then it all fell apart and I got burned out. But then I helped others and I was like, you know what? Don't do what I did. And we got other organizations up and running, and partnerships and government partnerships and business partnerships and donations and donors, and like just building up a community. And so I have found that this is the better way to do it, to build that foundation, to build your team, to build all this stuff before you really, really dive in. Like, you can be doing the work, but you want to make sure that foundation is like good and solid so that you don't burn out, because the world needs you, and the world needs your mission, and the world needs your organization, and it needs the impact that you want to have in the world. And you can't do that if you pour everything out and you've got nothing left. So let's start doing this right, y'all. Let's start building with intention. And hit me up if you need anything. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe as well. Okay, I'll catch you guys in the next video.